This video, a critical political economy analysis, explores the inevitability of rent-seeking and the transition from market competition to corporate feudalism. Our research trajectory covers 3 parts. I. Mechanics, including the geometry of waste. 2. Deviation, focusing on the shift from pro-market to pro-business. And 3. Reality, examining legal capture in the USA and conglomerates in India. Rent-seeking is defined as the expenditure of resources to capture wealth transfers without creating new value. It is the antithesis of profit-seeking. Profit is innovation, while rent is capture. Tullock's 1967 work on the geometry of waste showed that the cost of a monopoly includes not just the deadweight loss, the triangle, but also the resources firms waste competing for the monopoly profit itself. This is represented by the red rectangle, the waste. We now transition to part 2, the deviation, addressing the question, why do free markets decay? There is a distinction between pro-market and pro-business. Pro-market favors competition and consumer welfare. Pro-business favors incumbents, subsidies, and protection from rivals, with the goal of corporate welfare. The iron law of rent-seeking presents a paradox. Capitalism rewards efficiency with profit, which leads to capital accumulation. Once a firm becomes dominant, the rational strategy shifts to spending on buying regulation to block competitors, rather than on innovation. Institutional sclerosis is a consequence of collective action. Small groups like the sugar lobby organize easily with high incentive per member. Large groups like taxpayers are dispersed with low incentive. These small distributional coalitions capture the state, slowing growth. The incumbent's dilemma is that the success of capitalism creates a class hostile to the creative destruction that drives it. Incumbents build legal moats using wealth and the state to preserve their status and stop the gale of creative destruction. Polanyi's paradox highlights that laissez-faire was planned, planning was not. Markets require the state for things like contracts, so the economy and politics are inseparable. Actors will always try to capture the enforcer. In the market for regulation, the demand side consists of industries seeking protection, such as price floors and entry barriers. The supply side is politicians offering regulation in exchange for votes and funding. Capture is, therefore, a standard market transaction. Why nations fail hinges on whether their institutions are inclusive or extractive. Inclusive institutions lead to innovation by providing a level playing field. Extractive institutions lead to stagnation, as they are designed by elites to extract resources from the many. Unchecked capitalism tends towards concentration, which leads to political capture. Capture leads to rent-seeking, which ultimately kills the very capitalism that birthed it. This is a progression from competition to monopoly, political power, and finally, rent extraction. We now move to part 3, the reality, where we see how this theory manifests in the USA and India. In the USA, capture is institutionalized and legal, primarily through lobbying. Lobbying is a $3.5 billion industry. Studies show firms lobbying for tax holidays saw an astounding 220-to-1 return, a 22,000% ROI, making it better than any R&D project. The patent thicket involves evergreening, where pharma companies make minor drug tweaks to extend patents, blocking generics. This lawfare uses the legal system to extract rents, mimicking property rights but functioning as a feudal blockade. The military-industrial complex uses cost-plus contracts, eliminating the incentive for efficiency. Through political engineering, parts for projects like the F-35 are spread across many states, ensuring no congressman can cancel the program without losing local jobs. India shows an evolution of extraction. From 1947 to 1991, it was the license Raj, followed by resource scams until 2014, and since 2014, a surge in conglomerates, concentration, and moats. Post-2014, the big 5-feet conglomerates have surged in non-financial asset ownership, controlling key sectors. This policy of national champions favors the chaebol model. The risk is too big to fail becoming too big to jail, leading to inflation due to pricing power. In a free market, infrastructure facilitates competition. In a rent-seeking economy, it gates competition. Vertical foreclosure, where a conglomerate controls logistics like ports, allows them to squeeze competitors in downstream industries. India saw legalized opacity with electoral bonds, which allowed anonymous corporate funding until being struck down in 2024. Data revealed a quid pro quo correlation between bond purchases and winning contracts, or halting regulatory raids. New protectionism like production-linked incentives, or PLI, are manufacturing subsidies. Raghuram Rajan warns these create permanent infants. When profit comes from handouts instead of competitiveness, rent-seeking replaces innovation. The styles of capture differ between the USA and India. The USA features rule by lawyers, with subtle, institutionalized capture through complex regulation and IP law. India shows rule by concentration, with volatile, resource-heavy market dominance and direct political access. The cost of stagnation, known as the 2A theory, results in jobless growth. Concentration acts as a drag on the economy, and monopoly profits tax consumers. Capital flows to the politically connected, starving, innovative startups. Saving capitalism requires tending the garden of competition. We need to view antitrust as liberty, breaking monopolies to be pro-freedom, and demanding radical transparency as sunlight disinfects the iron law of rent-seeking. Structural reforms include using auctions, not allocations, to remove discretion. We must disconnect wealth from political access in finance and embrace openness as free trade breaks domestic cartels. The verdict on markets is that free markets are the greatest engine of prosperity, but they inherently contain the seeds of their own destruction. Without strong, inclusive institutions, every market risks evolving into a racket. The tragedy of rent-seeking is not just the theft of wealth, but the deeper destruction of human ingenuity. The key literature underpinning this analysis includes works from Tullock, Olson, Stigler, Zingales, Acemoglu and Robinson, and Polanyi. Thank you for watching this video. A critical question for discussion is, how do we design institutions robust to the iron law of oligarchy? Thank you. Watch, share, and subscribe.